Indie publishing and self-publishing are at once frustrating and satisfying. I love looking at my Kobo dashboard and seeing that someone in Nigeria or Bangladesh has downloaded my work. On the other hand, it's up to me to do everything, including the marketing for my work. While I'm neither a Luddite or a geriatric, like a lot of people, I sometimes find it difficult to fully adapt to the current way of things. Instead of lamenting change and its positives and negatives, I choose to keep a little bit with the times in order to reach as many readers as possible. So today I'll be looking at the author platform of a self-published writer who has had a great deal of success and is doing a lot of the things that we should do too. I'll also take a look at her work because, books are the most important thing. I'm Kenneth Nichols, the gent behind Great Writers Steal and Allison Rhodes books. I've been writing and learning about craft for 25 years, and most of the time all I want to do is enjoy great writing and teach others how to improve their own work. But first, a word from today's sponsor. Do you ever find yourself needing to pronounce two vowels in the space of one syllable? Well, thanks to diphthongs, you can do just that. Combine a sonantal vowel with a consonantal vowel with ease. Let's say you just want to put an O and an I together because you're about to make pasta. With a diphthong, you can ask if the water on the stove is already at a rolling boil. And if you use the promo code Allison Rhodes, one word, you'll remember what a diphthong is the next time you want to tell people you are an author. Diphthongs, uniting vowels since the 15th century. Okay, we're back. Carissa Andrews seems to have a lot going on. There's so much of it, in fact, that I'm just going to take a look at her site and make a little list. Okay, let's see what's going on here. We have international best-selling author, box set, giving away the first three books, first three chapters via book funnel. We have latest releases. There's lots of books in that catalog. We got audiobooks. We're doing pre-orders, a newsletter with a reader magnet. We have an about the author with the same picture and prose as the Twitter bio. We have social media and BookBub links. We have a what I do, including fiction, nonfiction, graphic design, content creation, indie author school, audiobook production, blog. Whew, it is pretty clear that Carissa has a lot going on. Anyone who has been learning about indie or self-publishing will likely agree that each of these elements is a different skill that a writer might wish to learn. Unfortunately, there are only so many hours in the day, so to some extent we have to pick and choose, or at least I do, because I'm not as much of a polymath as I wish I were. I'm not exactly sure how Carissa herself would describe her own presence, but I think that the site is both businesslike and friendly. It might be a little busy, but she definitely features tons of calls to action and gives everyone a reason to click on something. Another of my worries is that I'm only preaching to the choir of fellow writers. I look at my Twitter follower list, and it's an awful lot of writers. I want to sell more books, so to some extent, I need to get in touch with more readers in the future. If I try to forget that I'm a writer, I do like the way that Carissa organizes her site, though I think my personal tendency would be to use more words and description in addition to the images. Of course, I'm the kind of person who uses Instagram only begrudgingly. It's all about the image, and it's not so much about the text. More importantly, let's look at some of Carissa's actual writing. Okay, we're going to be writing about book 1 of her PENDOMUS series, because, it's the first book. The author does something that I didn't expect. Let's look at the Amazon book description for PENDOMUS. A secret hidden in plain sight, a devastating attack, and a world hanging in the balance. There are a lot of things I wish I'd known earlier, but 3 top my wow, she was naive list. First, there are others on PENDOMUS. Second, a prophecy is in motion, and I hold the key to the survival of literally everything. Third, I'm being hunted by a madman who is desperately trying to wipe me from existence. So yeah, no pressure. If you like Maze Runner or The Hunger Games, then you'll love Carissa Andrews' PENDOMUS Chronicles. I have to admit that I was a little surprised at how sparse the description is on the website. I'm not really criticizing. The book has 90 Amazon reviews, so people have definitely bought plenty of copies. I was just surprised is all. The tagline is traditionally compelling, and Carissa introduces the idea that the book will offer a grand central mystery, which totally makes sense in the context of a fantasy novel. I really like the next bit, and not just because I love the rule of threes. The author tells us that she will employ a first-person narrator and gives us a look at her personality. I love that the character admits that she was naive and is no longer, thanks to what she learns over the course of the saga. Maybe it's just because I watched some of the 4th season over the weekend, but the narrator reminds me of Veronica Mars. She's snarky and tough and fun. And after having seen Carissa's author site, I'm not surprised that she takes full advantage of the Amazon description space. She hits us with the comps and with quotes from Amazon reviews before hitting us with more comps and descriptions of the tone and feeling of the book. So for example, you won't want to stop at the end of book 1. Carissa Andrews paints perfect literary art. This book is incredible. Anytime I finish a book and find myself still thinking about the characters and storyline a few days later, I know that it is a great read for me. I was so into it around 3 a.m. I fell asleep reading. I absolutely couldn't stop reading it. Then we get a couple more comps. Calling all fans of Shane Silvers, Shannon Mayer, and Brandon Barr. If you like snarky fun humor, gripping supernatural scenes, and twists that leave you spellbound, then you will love Carissa Andrews' Supernatural Worlds. PENDOMUS is the first of the PENDOMUS Chronicles series, all available now. Be sure to check out Trajectory, a PENDOMUS Chronicles prequel found exclusively ... As always, there is no right or wrong, just whatever works. I like Carissa's idea here because, at least it seems to me, the book description puts a lot of importance on the look inside on Amazon and on the other platforms. Personally, I want to know more about the book, so she's pushing me to read the first few pages or to download a free sample. But vagueness is a double-edged sword. It can either attract or repel the person whose attention you crave. And there's nothing wrong with nudging the reader to the actual first few pages of your book, particularly if you are confident about your writing. But I found something surprising when I visited Carissa's site. Check out the description for PENDOMUS that you will find on the site. Whew, look at this. PENDOMUS is a young adult science fiction fantasy genre-bending series with dystopian flair and a wee bit of paranormal romance thrown in. If you're sick of vampires and werewolves, this series of novels will help you escape planet Earth entirely. Humanity is colonized on a tidally locked planet known as PENDOMUS, a planet of extremes, half eternal scorching desert and half perpetual Arctic night. Surviving along the temperate band between the two, we've set up home in a complex known as the Helix. Within the Helix lies a highly sophisticated, highly technological society that seems to function solely on humans fulfilling their life's purpose. That purpose is determined and nurtured through a person's natural aptitudes as read by their daily brain scans. Eating, sleeping, even procreation is handled by professionals. These basic concepts no longer a part of society's everyday norm. 17-year-old Runa Koppam longs to be more than just a part of the Helix machine. Her life inside is anything but fulfilling. She feels disconnected and longs to be more than society dictates. Inside, no one socializes, no one interacts in a meaningful way. It's never set right with Luna. She would love nothing more than to reach out to her family, but not even her own mother can show any semblance of love for her. Instead, Runa has found solace in the ancient woods nearby, despite being strictly forbidden. Runa's life takes an unforeseen turn when she's brutally attacked and left for dead in those woods near the Helix. Rescued by a stranger with blue hair, she's immersed into a surprising way humanity has survived. Fueled by a yearning to belong and an attraction she didn't even know was possible, Runa wants desperately to make a new life. Yet there's much she doesn't know about herself, about the planet, and the forces controlling her from afar. What she needs are some answers. There we go. That's a much more traditional book description. The author begins by describing the world in which the books are set. This is a good way to grab a fantasy reader. After all, the whole point is that a fantasy will take you to a completely different place. I like that PENDOMUS is a planet of extremes. Extreme hot and extreme cold. The characters must negotiate these extremes. And those characters are, to my mind at least, more important than the setting. Runa seems like a reasonable YA heroine. Like most 17-year-olds, she feels disconnected and seeks solace in forbidden places. She's disconnected. She wants a better connection with her family and her mother. She seeks solace in forbidden places. That's great. That sounds exactly like a teenager. We were all there, and we can all relate. And Carissa also seems to give us the inciting incident of the book, the awful attack on Runa. Remember, an inciting incident is that moment after which everything in the story for the protagonist is changed. When Harry Potter, when Hagrid comes up and says, "Harry, you're a wizard," boom, everything is different, nothing can be the same. In the course of 3 compact paragraphs, we learn about the world of PENDOMUS, the protagonist, and one of the obstacles that the protagonist must overcome. Great, so it's all there. But let's check out something I might change. I can tell that Carissa is trying to keep the character mysterious, but I might offer another detail or two about the blue-haired stranger who helps Runa. He or she seems very important to the story. Is that the attraction that Carissa mentions? I don't know, I'm just a little bit curious. What would make me click purchase? The overall package is so well done that it's a safe bet that PENDOMUS is at least a decent read. The author has clearly invested a great deal of time, skill, and perhaps money into her work, so I can't imagine that the book is any less professional. So, let's recap. What can we learn from Carissa's author platform and the way she advertises her book? Try different kinds of rhetoric for different outlets. The Amazon description for PENDOMUS is quite different from the description Carissa offers on her website. Perhaps these are slightly different audiences with slightly different needs. Perhaps Carissa is also trying to pull the reader along in a certain direction. Take advantage of all the room Amazon gives you in the book description field. The space is there, so why not use it? We can include information about the rest of our series, editorial or reader reviews, whatever we want. I think that most readers will just scroll past any matter they don't wish to read. I mean, that's at least what I do. I don't know what you do. Hit every element of story in the book description. Setting, character, tone, genre. They should all be there so the reader knows what he or she is getting. Offer your reader a comprehensive place to find all of your work, services, and so on, all of that. In my years of doing Great Writer Steal and in writing for this author site, Allison Rhodes Books, I'm always astounded when I find that a writer doesn't have at least a bare-bones website so I can find out about him or her. Carissa has a particularly robust website, but we all need at least the basics. Alright, well that's all for now. As a YouTuber, I am legally obligated to ask you to click the thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell to receive notifications, comment below, and to buy my merch. I guess merch, in this case for me, it just means my books. Info in the description below. We have My I Want Song, it's a decent YA novel about the last week before the big High School Musical. I have The Immortal Part of Myself, a fun novelette that you might enjoy. So, please check those out. I'm Kenneth Nichols from Great Writer Steal and Allison Rhodes Books, wishing you luck with your writing, and books are good.